What up, you guys? Happy full moon in Capricorn. Yay! Capricorn is a cardinal feminine sign. It is an earth element association. And so I feel like this full moon is sort of a solidification and culmination at the same time. So we apparently have two full moons in a row in Capricorn. And so beginnings and endings have been a huge theme recently. Like culminations of big endings of major life cycles, and then the beginning stages of the next phase. But we've been in this like liminal space between. And so think of it if we were moving houses, right? And we were moving from one house, which is representative of the former timeline. And we're moving into a new house, and that's in the next timeline. And so we're doing like the cleanup stuff in the old, and it's like there's a lot of projects to like wrap things up there. And Saturn, this is the full moon that we're in right now. Saturn is the disciplinary. They have structure, they have like discipline and foundations. And so it's solid, it's physical. And also like Capricorn is the 10th sign of the zodiac. So it's the most aged and mature of many of the signs, but of all of the earth element signs, it has come to its full like realization there. So it's like about how are we holding ourselves back from not being consistent? Saturn loves consistency and being like showing up for like the promises that we make ourselves, or like showing up and actually enacting like the plan, or like ticking off the outline kind of thing. And so it like Saturn comes in and it's like, okay, well, what have we been doing? Okay, well, what's wasting our time and our energy? No TV, cut that out. Like no this, no that. All right, who's been brushing their teeth? Who's been flossing? Like Saturn is the disciplinary father. Well, we're just moving into Cancer season, and Cancer is the zodiac, the mother of the zodiac. And so the sun sign is in Cancer, and we just had yesterday the summer solstice, where the sun is at its apex, and it's the longest day of the year. So there was like this full illumination of the light yesterday, and it might have brought into your awareness things that had been lurking in the shadows of your subconscious. Maybe in a way that you were able to break strongholds and cycles and patterns, and ways that you can overcome your old default ways, so that you can start embodying this higher version of yourself for the next phase of the journey, for the next timeline. So as we do our work and as we transform, we take our fated path, which was the path that we were born into with all of like the natal chart prognosis, and we slowly but surely over time, if we do the work of transformation and change, tick by tick, we start to get closer to that higher timeline that the higher self lives on, that the higher self is already realized. And it's like that full expression of our unique potential in this life. So all of these revelations are coming up because we're starting this new big cycle, and the universe is trying to give us the best shot at like starting off on the best foot forward with a clean slate, fresh start. And so we have been working with themes of reparenting ourselves for probably the past month or so now. We've been doing concentrated inner child work to look at the shadow, to look at the shadows that hide in the closet and under the bed, and the ways that we've had to suppress parts of ourselves because we were made to feel like they would lead to our certain rejection, which would lead to our certain death, right? So it's like we've been, reintegrating those things and healing those things, and seeing where the ego and the opponent has used gaps in our weaknesses and in our ego and in our, imbalances and our personality flaws, and then, our soul's cocoon, which is like these layers of negativity that are built up on like over our inner light, right? The inner light of the Creator, that's within each of us is like the totality of all of that the Creator is, and the light, the white light. And so that's radiating from within, and that is our spirit. That's the expression of that light uniquely as us. But over lifetimes, and as part of our assignment to come into this life, we're like assigned this like spiritual density that we have to transmute. And without it, it can neither be created nor destroyed. So it's only going to perpetuate more negativity, more darkness. So we have to transmute that within us into change, into elevating the soul. So we go through processes and processes and processes, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, and we're always in this like balancing act of like moving, you know, this darker substance, trying to move it from one side of the scale over to the side of the light, right? So we're in this like portion of time where a lot of work is being done to transmute and to have that darkness and that shadow be brought into our realization, so that we have all the support that we can to be able to say, oh, okay, this is the assignment. This is what needs to be done to alchemize and to leave this in the old timeline and to move forward as the higher self. So it's all good. It's just been, you know, it's been strenuous. It's like Passover is that moment where we decide to take the leap of faith and leave Egypt. Well, the time in between is called the Omer, and that's the time spent in the wilderness where it's like, whoa, we didn't realize that we were getting into something so uncertain. Wow, wouldn't we like to go back to the old devil that we know? And so this is like all the ways that our soul has been challenged to overcome fears and insecurities and uncertainty and self-doubt and indecision, and ways that we feel like, you know, victims and we give our power away, and all of those. We've decided to look at it and bring that into illumination. And so it's kind of all been culminating. There's been lots of probably activity, you know, bubbling up within the light of the solstice and the full moon, bringing things up to your attention. Are you wasting your money in ways that is subtle, but that could be used in ways that could grow your money, right? Like even if you have cash savings, for instance, it could be depreciating when it could be in a high yield savings account earning interest, right? So there's small ways that we need to look at the micro actions and choices that we take from the mundane to the deepest levels and say, okay, where is this taking away from my value? Where is this draining me of my value? Where is this preventing me from moving forward into my potential? Where's this whole, is this holding me back? Are these things holding me back? It's draining my resources, draining my attention, draining my time. Now we need to replace that with things that add to your value, add to our potential, add to our expansion, right? So we need to be using our attention and our focus and our resources with intention and wisely, building that new reality, that new world, that new life we want to live in. And part of it is just to simply start being in it now, right? Look for ways to focus on how you're already living in that new timeline, and you're only going to expand more into it from there. So healing the mother wound has been coming up because Cancer season is here, and the father wound is going to be prominent because we have 2 full moons in Capricorn, which is the father of the zodiac. So there is healing let's just call it healing our concept of our relationship to our father, right? Because it can be unfair when you can't literally heal your relationship with your father in a physical, material way. But I think that the big ask, and I think, you know what, I think that sometimes where we perpetuate the wound of healing with the father, because perhaps we have a father that doesn't want to comply, you know, and we can't force the relationship on them, right? But by continuing to think that that relationship is going to change and holding out hope that the father is going to change, we continue to hurt ourselves and self-harm and disappoint, when The ask is to just accept the reality of who your father is and who your father can't be and who they won't be. And just to let that fantasy, that archetype, that projection of the perfect father that you never had, just let it go. Forgive your father the debt of being that father, right? And just accept. Radical acceptance doesn't mean you have to agree or like something. It just means that you're not fighting the reality of what is. And so then you can release suffering. Pain is unavoidable, but suffering is a choice. Pain is something we all experience, in the days that come and go in our life, that we get attached and everything changes. And so that brings pain. But suffering is when we hold on to something and can't let that pain move through and digest. And we can't accept that reality, right? So we're just fighting against it, wishing it weren't true. That only perpetuates the wound. Same for the mother, right? We all have this idea of motherhood up on a pedestal that no one could live up to. Even the people that seem like they do, it's like it's impossible. It's an impossible ask, right? So we've got to get our ideas and our consciousness straight around our personal relationship with our parents as human beings and accepting them just for who they are and who we have as parents in this life. Making peace with that. We don't have to be approving of them. We don't have to like the history that we've had. We don't even have to continue to try to force something to happen. We just accept them and be at peace. And let them be who they are and just love them from a distance and accept them and just stop trying to only love them conditionally if they fit into your idea of what would be more acceptable, right? Unconditionally. Loving people is it's not always as fun as it sounds. Like, oh, unconditional love. It's like, well, it'll be tested. Okay, so we're healing our relationship to the relationship with parent, right? We're healing the archetypal philosophy of parenthood and our expectation of it from others, and being able to separate that archetypal father and mother figure from our human father and mother figure. And we can take that archetype and put it into thought form and then use it to reparent our inner child within that is still trying to get into the driver's seat and call the shots, right? And so this is the ways that we need to set better boundaries and habits with ourselves, right? Do you need to go to bed earlier in order to get up earlier to work on your business? Or do you need to dedicate time to work on a project or a goal or a dream? Do you need to just take the action that you've been meaning to take that you've just been putting off? Like, think about ways that a good, ideal, squeaky clean, perfect gleaming parent figure in your life would talk to you and guide you if they were giving you advice every week over Sunday dinner. Use that voice to look at your life and kind of like make sure that you're checking off these boxes, right? What would the squeaky clean, Donna Reed mother be trying to like encourage you to do in your life, if that's what it takes, whatever that archetype is for you. Maybe it's Goldie Hawn or Susan Sarandon. Wouldn't that be cool, But think about that. Think about the archetypal parent. That way you don't have any of the baggage attached to your actual parent. And then you can start to reparent your inner child. Giving yourself limits and goals and expectations that you're putting on yourself to meet, right? And then living up to it. That's what starts to build your confidence and your self-esteem. And when you start to show up for yourself, it builds your self-worth and it deepens your love for yourself. So, all of that to say, full moon in Capricorn is going to be really looking like it's going to be like dad's coming in, the schoolmaster's coming in, he's coming back from his sabbatical, and he's like, okay, where are we with our theses? Have you been doing your work? What have we been wasting our time on? What is extraneous? Like, let's narrow down because this is halfway through the semester. And so now we're at the midterm and we need to rein it in. This is the summer solstice. So we're at this like new season where we're shifting gears. So what do you want to do during the summer season? But also we're at the halfway point of the year. And so take stock of what you've been able to accomplish so far and what you still want to do, and the gap of who you have to become and what you have to be doing in order to get there. And also celebrate how far you've come just in general, how much growth and healing there's been as well, because we're jumping off of an old timeline and we're about to leave it in the past. So we better have like that in memoriam, like, or the thing that you have at the end of the graduation of like the slideshow of all the memories, because that part is gone and it is over and it is in the past and it's an old you. And so the new you, the new timeline is beginning. And so we're amping up for that. What else? Okay, so I have I love this. This is the Magick of I day planner. It's like my favorite. So we also have the sun squaring Neptune and the moon squaring Neptune. So this is like, they're fighting for like who gets priority, and Neptune is illusions and dreams and fantasy and imagination and dreaminess, and the moon is our intuition. It's also our tendency to be dreamy and fall into those shadowy illusions. It's related to the water and the depths, and so everything is a little murky and distorted. Well, the sun is also squaring Neptune. The sun is illumination. The sun is logic and reason and enlightenment. And so it's like we're in a battle right now of like seeing the contrast of all the times that we maybe like misjudged or didn't discern our intuition well, or we had the intuition was right in the beginning and we were like, yeah, I feel my intuition, but then maybe we second guessed. Maybe we thought we were jumping to conclusions, and that's what gave that gap for the ego, the ego's voice to get in and talk you out of believing and trusting in your inner voice. So I think we're seeing brought into light the ways that, those were times where I didn't trust my intuition, and I see now like how I should have, and how I was like the illusion and the fantasy was pushing harder up against that. And so it's like we can see the conflict between imagination and like going into like a pipe dream about something, or a fantasy about something, or illusions versus what is true or real, or like when the opponent like gives us the illusion of a challenge that we are like, oh my gosh, I can't handle this challenge, and it's all an illusion, and it's just like temporary because it's a test or it's initiation, but it looks so real when we're looking into the 3D simulation. But what we understand as spiritual students is that it's the vibration, it's the spiritual realm, it's the non-physical that's real, and that's what's informing the material world. So the material world is actually more changing and less dependable than the unmaterialized world. Okay, so like learning, like feeling caught between dream and realization. So instead of spending too much time daydreaming about your plans, like have a good balance of both. Like you need to dream about your plans, but you need to take action too. Like don't stay in the dream world, bring it into the physical, because Cancer is in water. It's the water sign. So it is in that dreamy imagination, right? But we're bringing it into fruition through the full moon of Capricorn, which is the physicalized, materialized manifestation of the goal. So listening to that divine inspiration and then like taking action accordingly. Okay, we have Mercury conjunct Venus, and also Mercury trined Mars. So this is really like Mercury is like how do we express our our creativity, our vision of beauty? How do we express our truth out in the world? How do we express ourselves within relationships and interrelationally with life? Like, how do we get our ideas and our messages out there? How are we in our personal relationships? What do we need from them? So like, how do we communicate what we need, or how do we communicate within relationships? Mercury trining Mars is like, how do we deliver that message, right? What are we doing? And like our willpower and our drive to get that out there. So, and then last but not least, we have Neptune trining Pluto, which is bringing like a death and rebirth to our dreams and our like, it's like the end of illusion and the awakening, or like it's like a rude awakening, or like the end of a fantasy, like the crumbling of a facade almost, or like seeing past, like, oh, you know, I thought this would be a good career choice, but actually it didn't offer me a lot of value in the end. It was like my film career. It was like my ultimate fantasy, my ultimate dream. But the reality of it was that it didn't offer me a lot of long-term fulfillment or long-term value, right? It was more like, it seemed like, you know, there was the biggest illusion, right? It was like this material industry that's there, right? But it's not for me. It was nothing. It didn't offer me anything of real tangible value. So you know, being able to have like that kind of insight and awakening was pretty life-changing for me, because I ended up changing my career path to something that would be more fulfilling and more in alignment with my purpose and my inner gifts, right? So it can be something like that. Okay, but the death and rebirth, yeah, it's like extreme change, extreme like a realization that changes how you've been dreaming, how you've been imagining the world, what you've imagined for yourself even. It's like, wow, maybe like, and it's like all of this positive change too, like relief is coming. So it's like nothing to be worried about. It's like, honestly, it's like things that are just going to be like, open you up to like, oh, wow, I have more potential than I thought. And like things are shifting, and I've just been, you know, in resistance for so long that I just thought it would be like that forever. But things can't stay the same forever. They never do, even when we want them to. So it's like, and when we want things to change and they're just not, we're like, nothing's ever going to change. Like it will, it definitely will. So things are changing. And I think that this full moon is bringing a feeling of relief and hopefulness and levity, hopefully, because we're shedding density and we're like moving into like a higher, less dense way of being, having our being. All right, let's get into the reading. We are going to get a Celtic cross going with my straightforward oracle deck here. Who are we in the present moment in the context of the situation? Stop obsessing. So whatever is going on, it's just like, don't give it energy. Don't go down rabbit holes. If you're like for instance, I'm starting like a new like little business venture, like a side hustle, and it's like I've been thwarting myself because I go down these rabbit holes of like trying to like research something because I'm like afraid to like make a decision that would result in a mistake. It's like, what's the big deal? Like just like make a change if that's not the best route, you know? So it's like, stop obsessing, because that keeps you in like oscillating in sort of like this spinning out, like buffering. When you're looking at your Mac and you're trying to get it to do something, it's just like pinwheel of death is going on. So stop obsessing. You're overly focused on an issue or like one thing, or like just give it some space. Or don't overthink it, and just, you know, because you can waste so much time, like weeks, just like trying not to like make a, you know, go on like a make a costly mistake that'll cost you time, and you're like costing yourself time. What's crossing you now? Needless worry, right? So whatever it is, it's like it's not an issue. So like, don't worry about it. I'm obsessed with the show The Chosen. Y'all know this. No, I've not seen season 4 yet. I'm still vengefully rewatching all the other seasons. And so I love how Andrew really relates to the part of the Sermon on the Mount that where Jesus says, you cannot add an hour to your life by being anxious over it. And I'm like, that's so true, right? Nothing, like our worry cannot do anything. Our fretting cannot do anything. It really can't. It can get us worked up into a state where we could take like an impulsive action that we would regret, or that would be a costly, mistake. But it puts us in a state of defensive-ness, and it maybe even triggers us into a state of low-level trauma response, right? So, and anxiety and worry, it puts so much like toxic chemicals in your body from just like your inner like chemistry responding to that fear, that it's unhealthy. So nothing to worry about. False evidence appearing real is fear, right? It's like fear is false evidence appearing real. Illusion, an opportunity to exercise faith beyond reason. This isn't as bad as it seems. Practice cause consciousness, not affect consciousness. Worrying will not help. Worrying can make things worse by energetically blocking the situation. So stop obsessing. You're worrying about nothing. Okay, awesome. What is the subconscious root of this worry and this thing that is causing obsession? Don't be jealous, save your money. So yeah, don't worry about, like, evil eye is like, it's everything categorized under like what life is like. It's like comparing yourself to others and others comparing themselves to you, and like watching, things that make us feel less than, and that being in the subconscious all the time. And so something might make you feel like you're behind, or like you might be seeing people who are like seem really successful in social media, right? And you might think, oh my gosh, like look at all that they have, like I am so far behind. And it might make you feel inadequate. And it's like they might not be as successful as they look, or it's just showing you like what you're capable of. And so maybe it has a lot to do with finances, right? Maybe you see other people as getting to do all these luxurious things and you can't. And so maybe like you might find that you're worried about money and that you're kind of obsessing over it, and then it makes you feel like jealous that you don't have it. And so maybe it's like instead alchemize this worry into a motivation to start learning how to save and grow your money. But we have had like self-worth come up in that position a couple of times recently. And so self-worth does have to do with our finances. They affect one another. So if we've been doing the work on our self-worth, then the next step is to start taking material, real world actions into things that add to our value, which is also healing our relationship with money. This is going to represent a lesson from the past that's still kind of affecting us, but that's beginning to like clear up. Rest and recuperate. You need a break. Rest is productive. Take a nap. Don't worry. Don't work on anything. Do something fun. Burnout. So there is like this scarcity mindset that may have been driving you in your subconscious, that's been making you like obsess and overwork and worry and fret about money, and you haven't let yourself have any kind of rhythm of rest, which is Shabbat. It's like the Shabbat every week is a mitzvah. It's a commandment that we honor that day of rest. And it's an act of faith and trust to do that, to let go. And so maybe you have been so obsessive that it has been demonstrating this innate fear and lack and scarcity mindset with the universe, and a lack of trust in the creator, and thereby like this kind of like secondary belief that like, well, are you not worth like being the creator, like providing for you? You know, it's like when Jesus says, you know, it's like how much does he love the birds of the sky and he feeds them? When he not feed you, you're worth so much more. So he does talk about that in that same sermon, the Sermon on the Mount. It's like, don't worry about what you will eat or what you will wear or, you know, all of that. Like, the Father knows what you need to get through this world and to do the things that you need to do. And so the things that you need to really like fulfill your mission, like you will be provided those things, whatever it may be. And I've certainly lived that to be true. And I know that is true. And so rest is an act of faith and an act of certainty. Even, sorry, I'm obsessing over the show, The Chosen. It's like, don't obsess. No, I want to. The Chosen, at the end of, it's the episode where it's entitled 2 by 2. I think it's like season 3, episode 2. And at the end, they say one of the Psalms. And in one of the lines, it's like, I have rested and slept even knowing that 10,000 stand against me. It's like, thank you, Creator. And it's like having that rest to be able to say like, yeah, I'm up against the demands of the world and the demands of life, but like, I have to live while I'm here too. And in order to even reflect on our soul, we have to give ourselves time and space to have stillness and silence. So save your money. Don't be jealous. Saving your money and building those like really healthy money habits also gives you like a peace, and it gives you a feeling of being able to relax a little bit. It doesn't even mean you have to accumulate a huge principal right off the bat to have a feeling of security. It can just be a feeling that, oh, you've been putting off these habits. Why not start them now? And then you'll feel a feeling of relief because you're starting to take positive action. So allow yourself the rhythm every week of deep, real rest, and also that spiritual rest as well. All right, what is crowning us now? What is crowning us now? This. You're making too big of a deal of this. So there's something that is like you just don't have anything to worry about. Like, don't worry, you're making mountains out of molehills. There's something that you're making too big of a deal of, and it's costing you your peace. And nothing is worth your peace, because in order to align with our blessings, we have to share affinity with the light of the Creator, and we have to get ourselves in a state of cause consciousness. Well, the Creator is peaceful, is constant emanation, unwavering, unending stream of like consistency, not chaos and up and down, right? So if we are in a tizzy and we are afraid and we're jealous and we're worried and we're wringing our hands worried about finances, then we are not sharing affinity with the light of the Creator, and therefore we disconnect from the Creator. And it takes us out of the bosom of favor and blessing that we are in when we cleave to the Creator by sharing affinity with the light. Earlier in the week, I think it was for our alchemy message. I'm looking at the cards right now. It was literally saying like, we have built the vessel to contain the light through the effort, through the work, through doing the work. And so now it's like it's about letting that residual fear and that hypervigilance just go. Let it go out of the nervous system. All right, what lies right around the corner? What is waiting just around the corner? I think it's the top one. Oh, let go of control. So loosen your grip. Control is an illusion. Repelling, polarity. What you are trying to control is also controlling you. Oh, perfect observation. It's like what you are trying to control really is controlling you. So give up control is like to take your power back. Because we can't control anything, like God's in control. We are in a gauntlet that we can see, and where to move and dodge and duck and dodge. But otherwise, we can't control the gauntlet. We can only control our ability to transverse the obstacle course. So loosen your grip. Control is an illusion. It's repelling. It creates polarity. What you are trying to control is also controlling you. trust, surrender. The universe could have something better. You're standing in your own way. Control is neither vulnerable nor authentic. Okay, so the next card will represent our perspective that is affecting us right now. Addiction. So addiction, codependency, negative behaviors, thought or emotional patterns, coping mechanisms, habits, habitual role playing, family addictions, numbing the discomfort instead of asking what it's trying to tell you. Face your life, heal your trauma at the root. What fulfillment will this give you? What fulfillment will this give you? So when your addictive tendencies come up, ask yourself, what fulfillment will this give you? So funny, the two cards that came out with it are energy detox. So it could be addicted to chaos and crisis. I know that like in a lot of family cycles, when you grow up with a lot of chaos in your home, it's like your body builds up a chemical dependency to crisis and like trials and tribulations. And so it's something that the body starts to crave, you know, what is it? The cortisol? Is that the stress? There's so many hormones that your body like starts producing when you're under stress. And so it becomes like not only habits and patterns form, but also you're addicted to this surge of chemical rush or whatever, and you don't even realize it. And so we need an energy detox. Well, conflicting desire comes up, and it's the addiction is keeping you stuck, and it's like you want to detox yourself of this negative behavior, but it's hard because your ego, the flesh consciousness, is saying like, oh, you need this. Look away from what the higher consciousness is trying to reveal through the discomfort. And it's an inner conflicting desire that's keeping you in a stalemate. So that's what's affecting you right now. That's in your perspective. It's like you have a subconscious defense mechanism preventing you from like really doing the energy detox that you need to break the addiction to whatever it is, you know, whether it's a substance or a mindset or a behavior or whatever. Outer circumstances affecting us right now. This is how other people are affecting us, or outer circumstances are affecting us. It's time to take action. Take inspired action, yang energy. Follow your inner guidance. Wasting time will cause discontent, stagnation, and even chaos. Support from the universe. Divine timing meets preparedness. Catch the wave of magic. So like we were saying before in the beginning, it's like when we are being divinely inspired by our intuition, act on it. If it's a red flag, believe the red flag. Don't start to justify and give, like excuses or pad the way. It's like, no, believe the red flag. If you have a divine inspiration to go to the store, there's something that you need there that maybe will be on sale, go to the store. If you get inspired to, like, say, open up a brokerage account, like maybe that's the time that you need to open up a brokerage account because you might have a good investment opportunity coming up. Something is like, check your social media. Somebody might be posting like a job offer on like your favorite this or that, right? So you just never know. So start to be able to take action on divine guidance, but also that comes with the practice and self-mastery of learning to discern the guidance from tests, from guidance, from opportunities. Is this a test or is this an opportunity? And it's hard to sometimes discern those because they're dressed up as the opposite many times. Okay, so the next card will represent our hopes and fears. Hopes and fears. This is tied to shame. So whatever is going on right now, the circumstances that are probably causing all of this area over here, where it's like, it's not, stop worrying, stop obsessing. It's like, it's all tied to shame. Shame is rampant. When I think of vibration, it's like a channel that opens both ways, and you're either resonating in something or you aren't. And so if shame is present in the situation and there is like results arising from shame, this chaos, it's going to be chaotic because shame is a dark seed to plant. Shame causes very like undesirable conditions, and it lowers your self-worth, and it starts to breed like this poltergeist around you in your life, and it's like a magnet for like worse and worse and worse like energy. So our hopes and fears are tied together because we hope we get what we want, but we fear that we won't. And we fear that what we hope won't come true will, and all of that stuff. So hopes and fears and wishes and fears are all tied together. And we, many times, the deciding factor on whether or not we have built the vessel to like channel the light in a certain area and be able to receive that light and sustain it is going to have to is tying into our level of self-worth. And that is going to be dependent on the amount of shame that we carry around and hold on to. So, you know, it's whatever the block is right now that's left over, it's residual shame that's causing us the worry or the anxiety or the pressure or the jealousy, right? Maybe you had money shame. I know I have struggled with financial shame myself, and it is a deep, deep wound, and it's difficult. It's a difficult one to heal because it really does tie into your deepest sense of worth and your security. You know, so that can be a very vicious one to try to heal. But, and then, you know, with Save Your Money, it's like, but that's how you when you heal your relationship with money, you have to also like heal your relationship with yourself. And as you heal your relationship with yourself and your worth isn't attached to money, it's like suddenly you're able to start healing your relationship with money too, because you don't equate your worth with monetary or material value, with material measurements. Okay, final outcome. Let's get the final outcome here. Final result. Emotional renewal and irrational fears. So we're letting go of irrational fears. And if we don't let go of irrational fears, we will just continue to have irrational fears. But if we want renewal, emotional renewal, that is at hand as well. But it's going to be in following this advice, which is this is needless worry. Stop obsessing. Let go of control. Don't be jealous. Just work on saving your money. Work on your finances. Rest and recuperate. You're making too big of a deal of this. Get really honed in on what your inner conflicts are around what's holding you back from doing the things that you know are healthy and positive that will add value to your life, and getting rid of the things that are taking value from your life and breaking your life down, breaking addictions, right? And taking action that's going to make you feel accomplished and victorious. You're going to be healing your shame, and then that's going to help you release a lot of these irrational fears. So emotional renewal is at hand, but we have to be our own liberators. Okay, let's grab 4 cards to give us a sort of, let's sum up the reading, sum up the message. What do we have here? Knight of Wands. So something that is going to be like a renewal of passion and inspiration and motivation. But the Knight of Wands, in their shadow essence, has a tendency to be non-committal, and they are easily distracted, and they have like shiny object syndrome. So this can manifest in any area of life. But when we heal the father wound, that is the way that we show up and express in the world, and how, you know, dependable we are and responsible and how driven we are. Like, that is when we heal that Knight of Wands wound, that attention span wound, that I can't finish what I've started kind of wound, or that wandering sort of like I, or the player energy. Okay. Let's see, we've got 5 of Swords. So addressing that inner conflict. And it's like the 5 of Swords is like a mental conflict. It's a conflict of interests. It's like playing like in a way that's just like not worth it. It's like just put down, you know, it's not worth, like you might win, but at what cost kind of thing. It's just like, just walk away. And by continuing to like joust with these real swords, it's like someone's gonna put out an eye, like just like leave it alone. So yeah, it's like these inner conflicts that are causing you to create more upheaval in your life. It perpetuates more chaos. So just leave it alone. Not my circus, not my monkeys, right? It's like, stop obsessing over these thoughts that are warring in your mind. Stop going back and forth within yourself about things. It's like, bring your internal realm into a state of inner peace, and then your outer circumstances are going to be more peaceful as well. But yeah, I would say avoid like just that kind of conflict, and look at your inner conflict though. Look at the ways that you're innerly conflicted, but try to resist outer things that are going to cause dissonance by not taking actions and not falling into like repeat cycles or patterns or behaviors that are going to cause more strife for you, more turbulence. Queen of Pentacles is integrating like wisdom and self-love and getting your like physical kingdom in order. Having like control over yourself, like just being like having a sense of peace and security. And because she has established that inner peace and security, she's been able to grow her material resources and her physical security as well, her material security. Yeah, the Queen of Pentacles really tends to the kingdom. She doesn't let things pile up and get out of control. Because if you are a person that can easily get triggered and sent into like default trauma responses, like from early childhood post-traumatic stress syndrome that like manifests in adulthood, then if you don't take good care of yourself and get rested and you wear yourself out, then you're more like vulnerable to like taking impulsive action or having a meltdown or something like that is like self-defeating. Okay, Page of Pentacles is learning and study and doing the work and taking action. And it's like you're not there yet, but you're in it. You're in a project, or you're learning something new, learning a new skill. But yeah, it's physical study and it's work, but it's a studious little student. So very good. So it's like we're learning from our mistakes, and we're learning to do better, and we're learning how to sort of master our skills better and master ourselves better. But just looking at this as all of it is learning and learning experience. Okay. What do we need to know over the next waning cycle about our manifestations? Oh, know it? Well, we'll do manifestations and then we'll go back to our Moonology card. Alchemy. You have the Midas touch right now, and every project you begin turns to gold. Okay, so getting focused. Don't let your flighty attention span distract you from getting all of this done, because what you can do right now can go a long way. So don't waste this opportunity, right? Okay. All right. Whoop. Let yourself receive. Allow others to give you loving care and receive without guilt or apologies. Music for manifesting. To manifest more rapidly, think of what you desire while you chant, hum, or play music. That comes up for us often, and I feel that because music is very inspiring and it gets your emotions going. And it's whatever you're feeling is kind of what you are manifesting from. So if you want to feel opulent and free and, excited about something like going on a big trip or working remotely or something, maybe listen to music that makes you feel opulent and free and, all of that, right? Like glam rock or rap or something. If you're wanting to, music puts you in such a mood, right? And so that's the magnet, is the emotion. So music for manifesting, it gets your imagination going and it gets your juices flowing and it gets you loose and malleable for ideas to come through. And then Divine Magic, this came out this week, I swear. Divine Magic, extra magical energy surrounds your situation right now, so expect miracles. So we have prepared the vessel, right? We have to be able to receive the blessings that are coming in without shame or guilt, because that's going to block the vessel from receiving. So we need to let go of guilt and shame, let go of the worry, have a good time, and get in a high vibe, feeling good. And that's when we are extra magical and we're processing the alchemy. We're doing the alchemy, and it's giving us more fuel. So very exciting. I think good things can come, but don't waste the energy that is in the air right now. Okay, let's grab a Moonology card to see our message from the moon. Believe in the impossible, a blue moon. I love that. So I think a blue moon is like 2 full moons in the same month, if I'm not mistaken. And that's so funny because it's not that we have 2 full moons this month, I don't think, but it's just that we have 2 back-to-back Capricorn moons. Is really funny. And so it's like, again, believe in the impossible. Like, you might be surprised at how much you're able to accomplish if you are determined and if you are disciplined in like sticking with your routines and your little regimens that you set out for yourself, right? If you've been wanting to work on a book, right? Maybe you can really devote some, extra effort into to working on that or getting started in doing that over the next couple of weeks during the waxing phase. Whatever it is, like maybe don't start a new project right now, but whatever you're currently working on and trying to achieve, maybe just like really get into it, into the nitty gritty, and believe that you can make a lot of progress in the next couple of weeks, like more than what you think is possible. Okay, let's grab a tarot card from the Angel Wisdom Tarot. Da, 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 da. Let's just grab both of these. Let's just see. What if we do it? We've got balance, temperance, the blending of ideas of others with your own, creating something extraordinary, successful, compromise, the power of diversity, self-control, patience, and balance. So temperance to me, and this is a continuation from things that we've been talking about this week, but we're really integrating all of this spiritual alchemy and change and all of the insights and revelatory illumination that has been coming forward. It's like we're beginning to see, okay, I can see this about myself. Now I can kind of like maneuver around this and choose differently. And then we have the Queen of Wands. Brilliant, talented, independent, controlling. There is nothing you can't do. Believe in yourself. Never underestimate your ability to make your dreams come true. The need for balance between career and personal life. So again, like go in gung-ho, but don't not give yourself any rest either. You can't be doing, and in the masculine mode of sharing, and still have any feminine energy to receive with. The fulfillment of our manifestation takes a balance of feminine and masculine energy. So we have to be able to like do action and take action, but then also be able to take feminine action of rest and silence and stillness. Okay, let's grab some cards from the Romance Oracle and see what we need to know about our love lives for the next 2 weeks as the full moon wanes. What are we releasing and letting go of? Ooh, past life relationships. You have known each other before. So letting go of past life relationships, cutting all cords, all contracts, and releasing anything from the old timeline so that you're completely purged, energy detox, ready to move forward. No strings in the new timeline. So worth waiting for. Divine timing is at work in your love life. So it's like we're all moving on to this new timeline. So things are changing and they're alchemizing and they're bubbling. And so don't like rush anything right now because you feel bored or thirsty or hungry, right? Don't snack. We need to, like, maybe something significant is just around the corner. You never know when you're going to meet someone new. It happens like that. It's like you feel like nothing's ever going to change and you're never going to meet another person again ever in your life. And then all of a sudden you meet someone new and it's like the next day you're like, oh, everything's changed. I met a new person, right? It's like, oh, I mean, not everything's changed, but like the reality as you knew it before where you would never meet a new person again. It's like suddenly a new person is introduced in your life and you're like, oh, a friend. So things can change. Just don't panic and like do something out of boredom or like antsiness, and which is not gonna lead to long-term fulfillment. Love yourself first. Your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. So right now the key is just to like love the self and do that inner work and be with the self. That way you're setting yourself up for success when this new person's coming along, and it might be pretty soon because we've got the getting to know each other card. As you reveal your innermost selves to each other, your love bond deepens. And so even if you don't meet a new person in the next 2 weeks, the focus is on getting to know yourself and then being able to sort of establish like a good pace at which you can be authentic and authentically get to know someone without games, but also at a pace, right? Not putting everything all out in the open. I think people get really extreme about terms like vulnerability and authenticity, and they're just like airing everything about their life like so fast, and like they're trying to get like close so fast. And it's like, it's better to take your time and get to know each other over time. So take it slow, love yourself first, get to know yourself, because if you can't have intimacy with yourself, then you can't have it with someone else either. So, it's worth like waiting for, your healing in this area and maybe that person's healing in that area before you rush in, and just wants to have a relationship for a relationship's sake. It's better when it's with the right person and it's you're both in a good place and like it's the right time. So get to know yourself. As you get to know new people, like take it slow, right? Because that is worth waiting for too. So many times, like people are kind of like suffer from patterns of serial monogamy. And so when they haven't been in a relationship for a while, they start dating someone again and they like that person. It's just like they have the assumption of just like moving that into a relationship. And in fact, like with dating the way it is these days, it's like we're so determined to like make a relationship happen that sometimes we lose sight of like, we should be more discerning about like whether or not we're trying to make this thing a success with this person. Like we just get too caught up in like the game, like, oh, I have to win, I have to make this a success, I want to use this tactic so I get what I want and I get results. But it's like, you don't need to do that because you may be getting positive results with someone that you don't want those results with, right? And you need to be more discriminate. So we're taking our time and we're getting to know people, so that we can see who they authentically are. All right, so let's get some advice from Mother Mary. Jesus's Ema. Jesus, I've never had this card come up before. I pray for Jesus's help and guidance with this situation. I love it. So yeah, I've been doing this a lot recently. It's just like incorporating even more prayer into my life. But just bringing more verbalization of my prayer into my consciousness, like when I'm running, when I'm getting ready, when I usually do the prayers in the shower when I'm getting ready, but I started like incorporating them into my jogs, and even after my structured prayers, it's like I just fall asleep murmuring, you know, prayers to Jesus about helping me, you know, with things, because it's the Christ consciousness that we're wanting to like align with and build affinity with, right? And so we do that by interacting with this presence, with that energy of Christ, with that presence of Christ within. And so, you know, I think I've been thinking so much about like, I love the show The Chosen, because it's like, it's just such a great way to, it's such great material to put on my consciousness, especially before I go to sleep. But it just seems like there's always some, I can't make it through a whole episode without falling asleep, but there's always a portion of the episode that I'm watching that speaks directly to whatever I need it to at that moment. And it's just been like so comforting to see someone like physicalize Jesus in a believable, real way. And so there's so many things that he says that are just like, oh, it's like so comforting to hear him say that. But praying for Jesus's guidance, it's like in the show, it's so funny because people don't just get their way with Jesus. Like, he doesn't necessarily people please or do what people want. And just because they're his followers, like, they don't necessarily have like great things play out. Sometimes they have like pretty shitty like circumstances that life throws in their face, and they have to deal with them. And then they're like, Jesus, you're helping everybody else out of these situations, why not me? And he's like, well, it gives you a more compelling testimony. And they're like, well. So Jesus is complex, and Jesus doesn't necessarily give you the fairy tale that you hope, but Jesus does change us in a way, like aligning with that consciousness of giving us that inner peace and releasing us from the old self, or the old, you know, ways, or the old ways of thinking and doing. So, and it's very comforting, just even when you're anxious. And if you are anxious when you sleep, or anxious when you go to bed, or anxious about an issue, it's like, pray to Jesus in that moment. It does make you feel better. It will give you encouragement and warmth and comfort, and it'll give you a feeling of security. And it will help you get through that frightening moment so that you won't take an impulsive action. And then loving words from Jesus: nothing shall be impossible unto you. So let's say that again. Nothing shall be impossible unto you. So don't worry. There's nothing to worry about. Just if you feel afraid, if you feel out of your depth, pray to Jesus. Jesus will, you know, be there to help you shift your consciousness and help you shift your vibration around the issue. It will put you under a, you know, a light of good feeling and fulfillment and protection and security. And Jesus is there to remind you that in Christ all things are possible. And so nothing shall be impossible unto me. And it's according to my faith, right? My faith and that Christ power that can be activated within us when we connect to that faith. So Jesus says over and over again in the healings, it's like, it's by your faith that this is done. Because I can try to heal other people, but if they don't receive the healing, then I can't do anything for them. I can't save them. All right, you guys. Well, we're going to end on that note. Nothing shall be impossible unto you. I pray for Jesus's help and guidance in this situation. All right, until tomorrow. Ciao. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it, then please give it a like. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications to be notified of when I drop content. Like the videos, comment, share them. Anything that you do helps these messages get out to other people who need them. So you watching a video and taking an action on it actually makes a positive difference in someone else's life.